मॉर्निंग एवरीवन। आज हम पढ़ेंगे एसएसटी 8th क्लास की उसका चैप्टर नंबर 2 फ्रॉम ट्रेड टू टेरिटरी, यानी व्यापार से लेके सत्ता तक। स्टेपिंग इन अराइवल ऑफ, इस चैप्टर में हम पढ़ेंगे अराइवल ऑफ ट्रेडिंग कंपनी, ट्रेड रिवाइलरी, कोरोनेटिक वॉर्स, बैटल ऑफ प्लेसी, बैटल ऑफ बुक्सर, एनेक्सेशन ऑफ मैसूर एंड मराठास, लॉर्ड वेलेस्ले, सब्सिडियरी अलायंस, एनेक्सेशन ऑफ टेरिटरीज, लॉर्ड डलहौजी, डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ लाप्से और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पॉलिटिक्स। अर्थात इन बिंदुओं पे हम इस विषय में चर्चा करेंगे। यू हैव रीड इन प्रीवियस क्लासेस दैट सिंस एंशिएंट टाइम इंडिया वाज एन इम्पोर्टेड ट्रेडिंग सेंटर। पिछली क्लासों में आपने पढ़ा होगा कि भारत विश्व व्यापार का सबसे महत्वपूर्ण केंद्र रहा है। मर्चेंट एंड ट्रेडर्स फ्रॉम यूरोप एंड एशिया कम टू इंडिया। व्यापारी यूरोप और एशिया से इंडिया में व्यापार के लिए आते थे। द इंडियन ट्रेडर्स वर गेटिंग प्रॉफिट्स फ्रॉम दिस ट्रेड। जो भारतीय व्यापारी थे वह अपना मुनाफा उनसे प्राप्त करते थे। सो दे इनकरेज्ड सच ट्रेड्स, इसलिए उसमें व्यापार करने का साहस था। 1498 a Portuguese fleet under Vasco da Gama successfully discovered a new sea route from Europe to India. सन 1498 में पुर्तगाल का रहने वाला वास्को डी गामा भारत की खोज करने के लिए एशिया समुद्र के रास्ते होते हुए यूरोप से भारत आया और वह आने में सक्सेस हो गया। Which paved the way for direct Indo-European commerce. The Portuguese soon set up trading ports in Goa, Daman and Diu and Bombay. After this conquest in Goa, the Portuguese instituted the Goa Inquisition, where New Indian converts and non-Christian were punished for suspected heresy against Christianity and were condemned to be burned. Goa became the main Portuguese base until it was annexed by India in 1961. Next page. Page number 11. The next to arrive were to the Dutch with their men based in Cyclone. Page number 11. The next to arrive were the Dutch with their men was in Ceylon. They established ports in Malabar. However, their expansions into India was halted after their defeat in the Battle of Colochal by the Kingdom of Travancore. During the Travancore Dutch War, the Dutch never recovered from the defeat and no longer posed a large colonial threat of India. The numerous trading companies were coming for buying goods such as spice, cotton, silk and indigo. They all wanted to buy these goods at low prices in India and sell them at very high prices. As they all were buying from India, so their profit earned began to shrink. This led to rivalry among them. The internal conflicts among Indian kingdom gave opportunities to the European traders to gradually establish political influence and appropriate land. Following the Dutch, the British, who set up in the west coast port of Surat in 1619, and the French both established trading outports in India. Although these continental European powers controlled various coastal regions of southern and eastern India during the ensuing century, they eventually lost all their territories in India to the British with the exclusion of the French outports of Pondicherry and Chandarmagor and the Portuguese colonies of Goa, Daman and Diu. Arrival of the British India Company. भारत में ब्रिटिश इंडिया कंपनी कब पहुंची? क्वीन एलिजाबेथ ऑफ इंग्लैंड ग्रांटेड ए फॉर्मल रॉयल चार्टर टू द लंदन मर्चेंट्स। क्वीन रानी एलिजाबेथ ने इंग्लैंड के इंग्लैंड के व्यापारियों को रॉयल चार्टर भेजा। लंदन के व्यापारियों को ट्रेडिंग द ईस्ट इंडिया का होपिंग टू ब्रेक द डच मोनोपोली। इसके लिए डच लोगों का जो एकाधिकार था बिजनेस पर, ऑफ द स्पाइस ट्रेड इन व्हाट इज नाउ Indonesia during its first century of operation. The focus of the company was trade, not to the building of an empire in India. English traders frequently engaged in hostilities with their Dutch and Portuguese counterparts in the Indian Ocean. The company achieved a major victory over the Portuguese in the Battle of Swali in 1612 at Swali in Surat. The company decided to explore the feasibility of gaining a territorial foothold in mainland India with official sanction from both Britain and the Mughal Empire, and requested that the crown launch a diplomatic mission. In 1612, James I instructed Sir Thomas Roy to visit the Mughal Emperor Nuruddin Salim Jahangir 16th century 5 से लेके 16th century 27 to arrange for a commercial treaty that would give the company exclusive rights to reside and establish factories in Surat and other areas. In return, the company offered to provide the emperor with goods and retreat from the European market. This mission was highly successful, and Jahangir sent a letter to जेम्स थ्रो सर थॉमस रॉय. जहांगीर ने जेम्स थ्रो को लेटर लिखा और वह इस में सक्सेस हो गया. पेज नंबर 12 पीटीओ. The company, which benefits from the imperial patrons, soon expanded its commercial trading operations. It eclipsed the Portuguese Estado to India, which had established bases in Goa, Chittagong and Bombay, which Portugal later ceded to England as part of the dowry of Catherine of Braganza on her marriage to King Charles II. The East India Company also launched a joint attack with the Dutch United East India Company on Portuguese and Spanish ships off the coast of China, which helped secure EIC ports in China. The British East India Company was fiercely competitive with the Dutch and French throughout the 2nd, 17th and 18th century. Over spices from the Iceland spice at that time could only be found on these islands, such as pepper, ginger, nutmeg, cloves and cinnamon, could bring profits as high as 400% from one voyage. The tension was so high between the Dutch and the British East Indies trading companies that it escalated into at least four Anglo-Dutch wars between them, 1615 to 1654, 1665 to 1667, 1672 to 1674 and 1780 to 1784. The Dutch company maintained that profit must support the cost of war which came from trade which produced profit. Competition arose in 1635 when Charles I first granted a trading license to Sir William Cotton, which permitted the River Cotton Association to trade with the east of any location in which the AIC had no presence. In an act aimed at strengthening the power of the EIC, King Charles II granted the EIC in a series of 5 acts around 1670 the rights to autonomous territorial acquisitions, to mint money, to command fortress and troops and form alliance, to beg of war and peace, and to the exercise both civil and criminal jurisdiction over the acquired areas. The company, fresh from a colossal victory and with the backing of its own private wealth, disciplined and experienced army, was able to assert its interest in the Carnatic region from its base in Madras and in Bengal from Calcutta without facing any further obstacle from other colonial powers. In 1689, a Mughal fleet commanded by Siddhi Yaqub attracted Bombay. After a year of resistance, the EIC surrounded in 1690 and the company sent envoys to Aurangzeb's came to place for a pardon. The company's envoys had to prostrate themselves before the emperor, pay a large indemnity and promise better behavior in the future. The emperor withdrew his troops and the company subsequently re-established itself in Bombay and set up a new base in Calcutta. East India Company and its trades too in Bengal. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी और उसका बंगाल में व्यापार. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी ने बंगाल में किस तरह अपना व्यापार स्थापित किया, किस तरह उसने अपने व्यापार को बढ़ाया, इस पैराग्राफ में हम ये पढ़ेंगे. द फर्स्ट इंग्लिश फैक्ट्री वाज सेट अप ऑन द बैंक ऑफ द रिवर हुगली इन 1651. हुगली नदी के किनारे इंग्लिश फैक्ट्री वाज सेट अप, यानी ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी की सबसे पहली जो कंपनी थी वह वहाँ स्थापित की गई. This was the next page, page number 13. This was the base from which the company's traders, known at that time as factors, operated. The factory had a warehouse where goods for export were stored and it had offices where company officials sat as trade expanded. The company persuaded merchants and traders to come and settle near the factory. By 1696, it began building a fort around the settlement. 2 years later, it bribed Mughal officials into giving the company zamindari rights over 3 villages. One of these was Kalikata, which later grew into the city of Calcutta, और कोलकाता इज नॉन टुडे. आज जिसको हम कोलकाता बोलते हैं उसका सर्वप्रथम नाम था कालीकट्टा, उसके बाद कैलकटा और अब बन गया नाम कोलकाता. एज इट इज नॉन टुडे, जिस नाम से हम आज इसको जानते हैं. इट ऑल्सो परस्यूड द मुगल एम्परर औरंगजेब टू इश्यू ए फॉर्मन ग्रांटिंग द कंपनी द राइट टू ट्रेड ड्यूटी फ्री. The company tried continuously to press for more concession and manipulate existing privileges. Aurangzeb's Farman, for instance, had granted only the company the right to trade duty free, but officials of the company who were carrying on covered trade on the side were expected to pay duty. This they refused to pay, causing an enormous loss of revenue for Bengal. This made the Nawab of Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan. Murshid Quli Khan, जो बंगाल का नवाब था, rise up in protest and the defeat of the Nawab was that the force led by Mir Jafar, one of Sirajuddin Dulla's commander, never fought the battle. Clive had managed to secure his support by promising to make him Nawab after crushing Sirajuddin. The Battle of Plassey became famous because it was the first major victory the company won in India. Battle Plassey का जो युद्ध था वह बहुत ही प्रसिद्ध हुआ क्योंकि यह कंपनी वॉन इन इंडिया, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी यह इस युद्ध को फर्स्ट मेजर द्वारा जीता गया था. Battle of Plassey. The Battle of Plassey was a decisive victory of the British East India Company over the Nawab of Bengal and his French allies on 23 June 1757. Under the leadership of Robert Clive, which was possible due to the defection of Mir Ali Khan, the battle helped the company seize control of Bengal. Over the next 100 years, they seized control of the entire Indian subcontinent and Myanmar. The battle took place of Palashi on the banks of the Hooghly River, about 150 kilometers 93 mi north of Calcutta and south of Murshidabad. then capital of Bengal. The next page, PTO. Page number 14. Belligerents were the Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowlah, the last independent Nawab of Bengal, and the British East India Company. Siraj-ud-Dowlah had become the Nawab of Bengal the year before, and he ordered the English to stop the extension of their fortifications. Robert Clive bribed Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of the Nawab army, and also promised him to make him Nawab of Bengal. Clive defeated Siraj-ud-Dowlah and at Plassey in 1757 and captured Calcutta. 1757 में कैलकट्टा पर सिराजुद्दौला ने प्लासी का युद्ध जीत लिया और उस पर शासन स्थापित कर लिया. The British sent reinforcements under Colonel Robert Clive and Admiral Charles Watson from Madras to Bengal and captured Calcutta. Clive then seized the initiative to capture the French fort of Chandramegar. Tensions and suspicion between Siraj-ud-Dowlah and the British culminated in the Battle of Plassey. The Battle of Plassey and the resultant victory of the British East India Company led to puppet governments instated by them in various states of India. This led to an unleashing of excesses, malpractices and atrocities by the British East India Company in the name of tax collection. अब इन्होंने क्या किया कि कर एकत्रित करने का कार्य जारी रखा. फिर आया कार्नेटिक वार. कार्नेटिक जो युद्ध हुआ वो क्या था? There were a series of military conflicts in the middle of the 18th century in India. The conflicts involved numerous nominally independent rulers and their vassals, struggles for succession and territory, and include a diplomatic and military struggle between the French East India Company and the British East India Company. They were mainly fought within the territories of Mughal India with the assistance of various fragmented polities who were loyal to the Great Mughal. As a result of this military contest, the British East India Company established its dominance among the European trading company within India. The French company was pushed to a corner and was confined primarily to Pondicherry. The East India Company's dominance eventually led to control by the British Company over most of India and eventually to the establishment of the British Raj. In the 18th century, the coastal Carnatic region was a dependence of Hyderabad. 3 Carnatic wars were fought between 1747 and 1763. First Carnatic War 1746 to 48 had its origin in the British Europe when war broke out between England and France in 1742. The war in India started when Nawab of Carnatic captured some French ships. French response fed by capturing Fort George in Madras. The First Carnatic War also came to an end in the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle 1748. Madras was given back to the British in exchange for the French fortress of Louisbourg in North America, which the British had captured. Next page. After the First Carnatic War ended, a proxy war between British and French continued in India. When rulers of both Carnatic and Hyderabad died, the war of successions that broke out, the British and the French sided with opposite groups. In 1751, Robert Clive led British troops to capture Arcot and successfully defend it. The war ended with the Treaty of Pondicherry signed in 1754, which recognized Muhammad Ali Khan Walajaha as the Nawab of the Carnatic. The outbreak of 7 years war between French and British force in India, leading to Third Carnatic War 1756 to 1763. The war concluded with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1763, which returned Chandernagore and the Pondicherry to France and allowed the French to have factories trading posts in India. The French agreed to support British peasant governments, thus ending French ambitions of an Indian empire and making the British the dominant foreign power in India. Battle of Buxar, Buxar का युद्ध. The Battle of Buxar was fought on 22 October 1764 between the forces under the command of the British East India Company led by Hector Munro and the combined armies of Mir Qasim Nawab of Bengal till 1764, the Nawab of Awadh Shuja ud Dullah and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam. The battle was fought of Buxar, a small fortified town within the territory of Bihar, located on the banks of the Ganga River, about 130 km west of Patna. It was a decisive victory for the British East India Company. The war was brought to an end by the Treaty of Allahabad in 1765. The British victory of Buxar had at one fell swoop disposed of the three main skills of Mughal power in Upper India. Mir Qasim disappeared into an impoverished obscurity. Shah Alam resigned himself with the British and Shuja ud Dullah fled west hotly pursued by the victors. The whole Ganges Valley lay at the company's mercy. Shah Shuja eventually surrounded Henceforth Company. Troops became the power brokers throughout Awadh as well as Bihar. Annexation of Mysore and Maratha. The 18th century was a period of great turmoil in India subcontinent. 18वीं शताब्दी का जो काल था वह भारतीय कॉन्टिनेंट के लिए सब कॉन्टिनेंट के लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण काल था. Although the century opened with much of the subcontinent under the control of the Mughal Empire, सारी जो बातें थी वह मुगल साम्राज्य के अंतर्गत कंट्रोल में थी. The death in 77th century 7 of Emperor Aurangzeb resulted in the fracturing of the empire and a struggle among various and other local rulers for territory. In the 1740 and 1750 as French and British colonial communists became more active in these local conflicts, and by the Third Carnatic War, next page, PTO, page number 16. In 1757 to 1763, the British had not only gained somewhat solid footholds in Bombay, Madras and Calcutta, but they had also marginalized but not eliminated the influence of other colonial powers. The Anglo-Mysore Wars were a series of wars fought in over the last 3 decades of the 18th century between the Kingdom of Mysore on the one hand and the British East India Company and Marathas Confederacy and the Nizam of Hyderabad on the other. Hyder Ali and his successor the Tipu Sultan fought a war on 4 fronts, with the British attacking from the west, south, east, and while the Marathas and the Nizam's force attacked from the north. The War resulted in the overthrow of the house of Hyder Ali and Tipu, who was killed in the final war in 1799, and the dismantlement of Mysore to the benefit of the East India Company, which took control of much of India. Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan, also known as Tipu Sahab or the Tiger of Mysore. टीपू सुल्तान, जिनको हम टाइगर ऑफ मैसूर यानी मैसूर के चीता, was a ruler of the kingdom of Mysore and a pioneer of rocket artillery. He introduced a number of administrative innovation during his rule, including a new coinage system and calendar and a new land revenue system which incited the growth of Mysore silk industry. इनके समय में अनेक सिक्के की प्रणाली और कैलेंडर का प्रतिपादन हुआ एंड न्यू लैंड रेवेन्यू सिस्टम, और नई जो भूकर प्रणाली जो है, लैंड रेवेन्यू सिस्टम जो है, उसको इन्होंने विकसित किया. ही एक्सपेंडेड द आयरन कैस्ड मैसूर रॉकेट्स एंड कमीशनड द मिलिट्री मैनुअल फैक्चुअल मुजाहिदीन. ही deployed the rockets against advances of British force and their allies during the Anglo-Mysore Wars, including the Battle of Polier and site of Seringapatam. He also embarked on an ambitious economic development program that established Mysore as a major economic power with some of world's highest real wages and living standard in the late 18th century. फर्स्ट एंग्लो मैसूर वार. पहला एंग्लो मैसूर जो युद्ध था वह कब हुआ? द फर्स्ट एंग्लो मैसूर वार 1767-69 saw Hyder Ali gain some measure of success against the British, almost capturing Madras. The British convinced the Nizam of Hyderabad to attack Hyder, but the Nizam changed sides, supporting Hyder. That was temporary, however, and the Nizam signed a new treaty with the British in February 1768. Hyder did contend with the British Bombay army attacking on the west and Madras army attacking from the northeast. However, Hyder's attack towards Madras result in the Madras government suing for peace and the resultant Treaty of Madras. तो फर्स्ट एंग्लो मैसूर जो युद्ध हुआ वह हुआ 1767 से लेके 1969 तक हैदर अली द्वारा. नेक्स्ट पेज नंबर 17. सेकेंड एंग्लो मैसूर वार, दूसरा जो युद्ध हुआ वह कब हुआ? द सेकेंड एंग्लो मैसूर वार 1782-84 witnessed bloodier battles with fortunes fluctuating between the contesting powers. Tipu defeated Bailey of the Battle of Polier in September 1780 and Brathwaite of Kumbakonam in Feb 1782, both of whom were taken prisoner to Seringapatam. This war saw the rise of Sir Ayar Kote, the British commander who defeated Hyder Ali at the Battle of Porto Novo and Arni. Tipu continued the war following his father's death. Finally, the war ended with signing of a treaty on the 11th March 1784, Treaty of Mangalore, which restored the states quoto ante William. The Treaty of Gajendra in April 1787 ended the conflict with the Marathas. Third Anglo-Mysore War. In the Third Anglo-Mysore War 1790-92, Tipu Sultan, the ruler of Mysore and an ally of France, invaded the nearby state of Travancore in 1789, which was a British force were commanded by Governor General Cornwallis himself, the resultant was lasted 3 years and was a resounding defeat for Mysore. The war ended after the 1792 siege of Seringapatam and the signing of the Treaty of Seringapatam, according to which Tipu had to surrender half on his kingdom to the British East India Company and its allies. Fourth Anglo-Mysore. The Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, 1798 to 99, saw the death of Tipu Sultan and the further reductions in Mysorean territory. Mysore's alliance with the French was seen as a threat to the East India Company, and Mysore was attacked from all four sides. Tipu's army were outnumbered 400 for Anupat 1 in this war. Mysore had 3,500 soldiers, whereas the British commanded 16,000 troops. The Nizam of Hyderabad and the Marathas launched an invasions from the north. The British won a decisive victory at the siege of Seringapatam, 1799. Tipu was killed during the defense of the city. Much of the remaining Mysorean territory was annexed by the British, the Nizam and the Marathas. The remaining core around Mysore and Seringapatam was restored to the Indian prince belonging to the Vaidevar dynasty, whose forefathers had been the actual rulers before Hyder Ali became the de facto ruler. The Wadiyars ruled the remnant state of Mysore until 1947, when it joined the Union of India. Anglo-Maratha War. When the Marathas were defeated in the Battle of Panipat, the third Peshwa, Bajirao, could not bear the defeat and died on 23 June 1761. After his death, his son Madhav Rao succeeded him. He was an able and efficient leader who maintained unity. Next page, PTO. Among his nobles and chiefs, and soon was successful in retrieving the lost power and prestige of the Marathas. The growing importance of the Marathas made the British become more cautious they wanted to destroy their re-established in 1772 when Madhav Rao died. It opened the doors of the British to attack the Marathas. The three conflicts or war fought between British East India Company and the Marathas. Confederacy on the Marathas Empire in India are referred to as the Great Maratha Wars. On the Anglo-Marathas War, the wars started in 1777 and ended in 1818 with the victory of the British and the destructions of the Marathas Empire in India. The first Anglo-Maratha War 1775 to 1782. इस सन में पहला एंग्लो मराठा वार जो है वह हुआ. Was the first of three Anglo-Maratha war fought between the British East India Company and Marathas Empire in India. The war began with the Treaty of Surat and ended with the Treaty of Salbai. The British Calcutta Council condemned the Treaty of Surat, sending colonial Upton to Pune to annul it and make a new treaty with the Regency. The Treaty of Purandar on March 1776 announced that of Surat Regenthro was conscious and his cause abandoned, but the revenues of Salsette and Broch districts were retained by the British. The Bombay government rejected this new treaty and gave refuge to Raghunath Rao. The British promised to help Raghunath Rao and provided him with 2,500 soldiers. The combined armies of the English and Raghunath Rao attacked the Peshwa and they were won. The Treaty of Surat was signed on 6 March 1775 but was not approved by the British Calcutta Council and the treaty was annullated in Pune by Colonel Upton, in which the supremacy of Raghunath was renounced and he was promised only pension. This was rejected by the Bombay government, who gave refuge to Raghunath in 1777. Nana Fadnis granted the French support on the west coast, much against the treaty with the Calcutta Council. As a result, the British and the Marathas armies met at Vedagan on the outskirts of Pune. The Second Anglo-Maratha War was the second war fought between the British East India Company and the Marathas Empire between 18th century 3 to 18th century 5 in central India. The main causes of Second Maratha War was due to the defeat of the Peshwa Bajirao II by the Holkars, one of the prominent Marathas clans, as a result of which he expected and British protected him by signing the Treaty of Bashin in December 18th century 2. The other Marathas rulers such as the Gwalior East India rulers and the Monsons ruler of Nagpur and Merer did not accept this and they wanted to fight against the British. As a result, the Second Anglo-Maratha War broke on central India in 18th century 3. The Third Anglo-Maratha War, 18th century 17 to 18th century 80, was the final and decisive conflicts between next page. The British East India Company and the Marathas Empire in India. The war left the company in control of most of India. It began with an invasion of the Marathas territory by British East India Company troops, the largest such British-controlled force massed in India. The troops were led by the Governor-Generals Hastings, no relations to Warren Hastings, the first Governor-General of Bengal, supported by a force under General Thomas Hislop. Operations began against the Pindaris, a band of Muslim mercenaries and Marathas from central India. Two main causes that led to the third and the final conflict between the British and the Marathas were the growing desire of the Marathas to get back their lost territories and excessive control over Marathas, nobles and chiefs by the British. The war took place in Maharashtra and neighboring areas in the year between 1817 to 1880. After the Battle of Plassey, 1757 and Buxar, 1764, which established British domination over East India, the Anglo-Mysore Wars, 1766 to 1799, and the Anglo-Maratha Wars, 1775 to 1880, consolidated the British claim over South Asia, resulting in the British Empire in India. Thought dissonance among various groups such as the Afghans and the Burmese would last well into the 1880s. Subsidiary alliance. In a subsidiary alliance, princely rulers were not allowed to make negotiation and treaty with any other ruler. They were also not allowed to have an independent armed force. They were to be protected by the East India Company, but had to pay for the subsidiary forces that the company was to maintain for protection. If India rulers failed to make the payment, part of their territory was taken away. Penalty, for example, the Nawab of Awadh was forced to give over half of his territory to the company in 18th century. One reason provided by British official was Mala administration. Hyderabad was also forced to cede territories on similar grounds. By the late 18th century, the power of the Marathas Empire had weakened and the Indian subcontinent was left with a great number of states, most small and weak. Many rulers accepted the offer of protection by ballistically as it gave them security against attack by their neighbors. The alliance was forced upon rulers so their territories could be annexed by the British. An Indian ruler entering into a subsidiary alliance with the British would accept British force within his territory and to pay for their maintenance. Number 2. The ruler would accept in British official residence in his state. Yes. The ruler who entered into a subsidiary alliance would not join any alliance with any other power or declare war against any power without the permission of the British. Number 3. The ruler would dismiss any Europeans other than the British and avoid employing new ones. The ruler would let the British rule on any conflict with any other state. The ruler would acknowledge the East India Company as the paramount of power in India. The ruler would have his state protected by the company from external dangerous and internal disorders. If the rulers failed to make the payments that were required by the alliance, part of their territory would be taken away as a penalty. अब है एनेक्सेशन ऑफ टेरिटरीज यानी सत्ताओं का एनेक्सेशन occurs when one state claims sovereignty over a territory and that claim is recognized. Just make it different than a formal treaty that transfers territory from one state to another. British to create their dominance over India annexed many territories either through a war or different act. Since British and Bengal presidency for under General Charles James Napier arrived in Sindh in the mid-century and the conquered Sindh in February 1843. The Belog coalition led by Talpur under Mir Nasir Khan. Talpur was defeated at the Battle of Maini, during which 5,000 Raipur Baloch were killed. Shortly afterwards, Hoshu Shidi commanded another army of the Battle of Dubo, where 5,000 Baloch were killed. The first Aga Khan helped the British in their conquest of Sindh. As a result, he was granted a lifetime pension. A British journal by Thomas Postens mentions the captives in the emirs. The emir has been the prisoners of Her Majesty. They are maintained in strict seclusion. They are described as broken-hearted and miserable men, maintaining much of the dignity of fallen greatness and without any querulous or angry complaining at the unlivable source of sorrow, refusing to be conquered. Within weeks, Charles Napier and his forces occupied Sindh. After 1853, British divided Sindh into district and later made a part of British India, India's Bombay Presidency. Next page number 21. 21. In 1858, Punjab in 1858, under the terms of the Queen's proclamations issued by Queen Victoria, the Punjab, along with the rest of British India, came under the direct rule of the British Crown. Delhi was transferred from the northwestern provinces into the Punjab in 1859. The British colonial government took these actions partly to punish the city for the important role that the last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah II and the city was a whole blood in the 1857 rebellion. Awadh. The Treaty of 18th Century one formed an arrangement that was beneficial to the company. They were able to use Awadh's vast treasuries and repeatedly digging into them for loans at the reduced rates. In addition, the revenues from running Awadh's around forts brought them useful revenue, which is acted as a buffer state. The Nawabs were ceremonial kings, busy with pomps and show but with title. Little influence over matters of state by the mid-19th century. However, the British had grown impatient with the arrangement and wanted direct control. They started looking about for an excuse, which the decadent Nawabs readily provided. On 1 May 1816, a British protectorate was signed. In 1856, the East India Company annexed the state under the doctrine of lapse, which was placed under a chief commissioner, Wajid Ali Shah. The then Nawab was imprisoned and then exiled by the company to Calcutta in the subsequent revolt of 1857. His 14-year-old son, Mirza Khudra, son of Begum Hazrat Mahal, was crowned ruler, and Sir Henry Lawrence killed in the hostilities Lord Dalhousie, Jerry's Andrew Brown Ramsay. Its first Marquess of Dalhousie, KTPC, 22 April 1822 and 19 December 1860, also known as Lord Dalhousie, styled Lord Ramsay until 1838 and known as the Earl of Dalhousie between 1838 to 1849, was a Scottish statesman and colonial administrator in British India. He served as Governor General of India from 1848 to 1856. He is credited with increasing passenger trains in railway, electric telegraph, and uniform postage in India, which he described as the three great engines of social improvement. He also founded the Public Works Department in India. To his supporters, he stands out as the far-sighted Governor General who consolidated East India Company rule in India, laid the foundations of its later administration, and by his sound policy enabled his successors to serve the tide of rebellion. His period of rule in India directly preceded the transformation into the Victorian Raj. Next page, PTO, page number 22. Period of Indian administration. He was denounced by many Britain on the eve of his death as having failed to notice the signs of the sign of the brewing Indian rebellion of 1857, having aggravated the crisis by the overbearing self-confidence, centralizing activity, and expensive annexation. The most controversial and trend reform developed and implemented under Dalhousie was the policy of taking all legal means possible to assume control over large estates. Dalhousie, driven by the conviction that all India needed to be brought under British administration began to apply what was called the Doctrine of Lapse. Under the doctrine, the British annexed any non-British state where there was a back of proper male Indian hair. Doctrine of Lapse. The doctrine of Lapse was an annexion policy applied by the British East India Company in India until 1859. Many Indian states were annexed by Lord Dalhousie, the Governor General of India, to the English East India Company. According to the doctrine, any Indian princely state under the suzerainty of the British East India Company, the dominant imperial power in the subcontinent, as a vassal state under the British subsidiary system, it would have its princely states abolished and therefore annexation into British India if the ruler was either manifestly incompetent or tied without a male hair. The latter supplant the long established right of an Indian sovereign without an heir to choose a successor. In addition, the British decided whether potential rulers were competent. Next page. Enough. The doctrine and its applications were widely regarded by many Indians as illegitimate. The policy is most commonly associated with Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General of East India Company in India between 1848 and 1856. However, it was articulated by the Court of Direction of the East India Company, and several smaller states were already annexed under this doctrine before Dalhousie took over the post of Governor General. Dalhousie used the policy most vigorously and extensively, and so it is generally associated with him. The other prominent states which became the victims are Satara, Jodhpur, Sambalpur, Udaipur and Nagpur. Dalhousie applied the doctrine of Lapse vigorously for annexation Indian princely states, but the policy was not solely his invention. The Court of Direction of the East India Company had articulated this yearly in 1834. As per this policy, the company annexed Mandavi in 1839, Koloba and Jalian in 1840 and Surat in 1842. Princely state annexed under the doctrine. Princely state ईयर एनेक्सेड, प्रिंसली स्टेट और ईयर एनेक्सेड। जिस साल में यह प्रिंसली स्टेट एनेक्सेड हुआ वह उनके ईयर: एंग्यूल 1848, बंडा 1858, जेनेटिया 1835, जेलिसियन 1840, झांसी 18th century 54, केंगरा 18th century 46, कित्यूर 18th century 24, कोझिकोड 18th century 6, कर्नूल 18th century 39, मकराई 18th century 90, नागुन 18th century 58, रामगढ़ 18th century 58, सटारा 18th century 48, साहिबा अटारी 18th century 49, तुलसीपुर 18th century 54, एयरकोट 1855, गुलेर 1813, जैतपुर 1849, जसवान 1849, कैचेरी 1830, कैन्योर 18th century 19, वदकू 18th century 34, कुल्लू 18th century 46, पुथेलर 18th century 25, नागपुर 18th century 51, पंजाब 1849, संबलपुर 1849, सूरत 1842, तंजौर 1855, उदयपुर छत्तीसगढ़ 1854। नेक्स्ट पेज 24। PTO Company claims. It is clear from the above that from the Early in 19th century, the company pursued an aggressive policy of territorial expansions under Lord Hastings. A new policy of permanency was initiated. Now the company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme, hence its power was greater than that of Indian states. In order to protect its interests, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex an Indian kingdom. This view continued to guide later British policies as well. This process, however, did not go unchallenged. For example, when the British tried to annex the small state of Kittur, Rani Channamma took to arms and led the anti-British resistance movement. She was arrested in 1824 and died in prison in 1829. But Rayana, a poor Chukidar of Sangoli in Kittur, carried on the resistance with popular support. He destroyed many British camps and records. He was caught and hanged by the British in 18th century 30. You will read more about several cases of resistance of later in the book. In the late 18th century 30, the East India Company became worried about Russia. It imagined that Russia might expand across Asia and enter India from the northwest. Driven by this fear, the British now wanted to secure their control over the northwest. They fought a prolonged war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company ruler. Their Sindh was taken over in 1843. Next in line was Punjab, but the presence of Maharaja Ranjit Singh held back the company. After his death in 1839, two prolonged wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom. Ultimately in 1849, Punjab was annexed. Administrative politics. नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ हम पढ़ेंगे पुलिस के बारे में पढ़ेंगे 24 पेज नंबर. British needed a strong and efficient police department to ensure law and order in the country. The uniform system of police administration in British India is established by next page. India Act 5 of 1861. It comprised two branches, the Superior Police Services, from which the Indian Imperial Police would later be formed, and the Subordinate Police Service until 1893. Appointments to the senior grades, its Assistant District Superintendent and above were made locally in India. Tannas were made for each district. Police succeeded in reducing major crimes from the country, but the Indians were not happy with the police system as they were corrupt and mostly worked in favor of the British Army. The British needed a large army to conquer more territories and to protect themselves from rivalry. Army was responsible for the defense of both and the British Indian Empire and the princely states, which could also have their own armies. The Indian Army was an important part of British Empire forces both in India and abroad, particularly during the First World War and the Second World War. The officer commanding the Army of India was the Commander-in-Chief India, who reported to the civilian Governor General of India. The title was used before the creation of a unified British India Army. The first holder was Major General Stringer Lawrence in 1748. Judicial यानी न्याय व्यवस्था. The English set up a poor copy of the British judiciary system as India judicial system. The judges in pre-independence India were the symbol of imperial power. Hardly after 20 years of Ranjit Singh's death, the whole continent of India had passed into the hands of East India Company. The motto of the English was not to provide justice to the local people, but the only motive behind this effort was to replace the exciting judiciary system to move the local people according to their own desire of ruling them in the long run. The British rulers changed the whole administration of our country, especially the law and justice. However, even after Indians were appointed as judges, any contact Warrens, Hastings and Lord Cornwallis gave a proper shape to the judicial setup. They set up district court, Diwani Adalat and criminal court. Faujdari Adalat law commission was appointed to the codify Indian laws. It complied the Indian Penal Code IPS and established the principles of rule of law. The British came to India as a traders and soon they became conquerors. By the middle of the 19th century, the British were the supreme power in India. A large part of country was under direct rule. Soon, India turned into a British colony. Yes, ये चैप्टर यही फिनिश हुआ. इसके क्वेश्चन आंसर और बुक पार्ट आपको बुक पार्ट तो बुक में फिल करना है और बाकी जो क्वेश्चन आंसर है वो आपको नोटबुक में करना है. यस, ओके, थैंक यू.